Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Vibe here, host of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I like to say you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles, and you're a solution for someone's problem. Thank you for everyone who stayed on with us. We had a little bit of a delay. When we tried to start this originally on Blab, there was immense feedback on my end, so we had to create a whole new Blab. So thanks to MC Phillips and Ahmed for staying on, and also M. Dixon 2009. Thanks for staying in for the conversation. We'll get to the right quick tonight. We have Chantal Onelien on the line with us, not on the screen with us, and she's going to be sharing about a very important subject that doesn't get chatted about too much at the best of times.
Yes, you're
and this is about organ donation awareness. It's a very important subject because last I checked, we're not going to be around forever. And there is always controversy about should I donate or should I not donate? So before we get going any further, Chantal, thank you so much for your patience. And can you share a little bit about yourself with our audience?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this show. And thank you for recognizing the need to discuss organ donation awareness. I will tell you this, my background is far different than one would expect for someone advocating for organ donation, because I've been in the PR marketing world and also sales world, also the hospitality and customer service industry as an adjunct professor for Lehman College Continuing Ed in the Bronx. So my world was turned around one day when my daughter was diagnosed with kidney disease due to, unbeknownst to me, a blood vessel which led to a disease called HSV, which led to her having some serious kidney disease. And as a mother who considers herself a warrior, I decided it was either fight or flight, and best believe I decided to fight, become well informed, well aware, and cultivate a very strong relationship with her medical team to figure out what we can do. At the end of the day, what we were told was she needed a kidney transplant. We were devastated, but we had to be strong for her. And if you are a positive individual who believes in positive things, you know that you must be proactive and you cannot sulk. You cannot be anything but a warrior for your child because you are their biggest advocate, and that's what we did. Now we started to consider the family. That didn't work out, so then we considered going out in the public. What I found was astounding, astonishing, and I'm still bewildered by it. People did not receive the concept of organ donation very well. I'd say maybe it was a 40-60 issue where people just were very perplexed by the audacity of a mother to even go on public display, even though I maintained my integrity and my genuine way of speaking, and I was authentic, and I spoke as a parent. People were taken aback by someone discussing organ donation and reaching out to maybe a possible altruistic donor. And I realized that I should try harder. It, it it would have been an issue where I may have cowered in and gone into a shell because of the reaction I received, but I chose to do otherwise. And the positive response also was a reinforcement. I have to give that credit. There were some positive responses, but other people were very confused, perplexed, wondering who in the world is she to ask about someone either possibly being a living donor or anything of that matter. We are concerned for her child, but asking someone to be a living donor is just preposterous. It's crazy, unheard of, especially not in our culture. I heard that so many times. We don't do that. And the actual fact is we need to do that. If we are healthy and if we feel comfortable enough to do it, we should, because you don't know who it might be in your relative, in a family, a friend, a loved one, because minorities are the ones suffering the most when it comes to organ donation, the need for organ donation, but we are the generation, the culture, and the social economic environment that provides the least donations for when it comes to transplantation. That disparage is astounding. And it's nobody's fault. We are not pointing fingers. We are just raising awareness because it's still considered taboo. And people are dying every day. Fact of the matter is, from organdonation.gov, 18 people die per day because they cannot receive an organ donation to save them for a liver transplant, kidney transplant, heart transplant. And the majority of the people suffering are African American families, men, women, and children, then Latinos and other cultures behind. And the ones who need the most have donated the least when it comes to organ donation. And I think it's fear. I think it's lack of information, and I think it's the cultivating of myths about people not wanting to save your life if you choose to be an organ donor. Um, and if you sign your card to be an organ donor, people assume that your life will not be saved. The truth is, the truth is, they're separate. The people who harvest organs in the hospital are totally separate than someone who's saving you from a car accident. There is no red flag. There is no sign that says organ donor, do not save. That's actually unethical. Hospitals would be sued right and left if they did that. There's also the belief that people are stealing organs to experiment. Um, if that is true, this may be a small number, but I can tell you for a fact that is not the norm. It's illegal, it's unethical. Well, we know illegal things happen all the time, but that is not the norm. People think that if you choose to be a deceased organ donor when you die, you cannot have an open casket. That's also not the norm. And we tend to question our mortality when we think about being intact. One thing we should all know is that most religions actually approve organ donation. It's considered the last selfless thing you can do, whether you are Buddhist, Jewish, Catholic, Roman Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, even Jehovah Witnesses.
Chantal,
Yes.
Chantal, if you don't mind me interrupting you just for a moment, when what were your thoughts about this subject before you found out what your daughter had encountered?
I love that question. I was open to it because I had a family member who suffered with kidney disease, and I was pretty much a teenager. So hers was different because she had lupus, and I was open to it because I realized what she had gone through for many years, almost 20 years. So I was open to it. Was I ready to go and donate my kidney? No. It doesn't really resonate as hard as it does until you become a parent with a child who is in desperate need of an organ donation. So I'm glad you asked that. I'll be totally honest. I was open to it. I actually had another friend who was helping me promote kidney disease awareness when she found out about my daughter, Pamela LaBelle, and she was promoting her T-shirts about organ donation awareness because she had a lot of friends in the motorcycle industry who needed organ donation, so she was very privy to that world. So I was lucky enough to be surrounded by people who discussed this. So it wasn't taboo to me, but is it taboo to some people in my family? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They still look at me like I'm plumb crazy to even ask. And it took me a year before I could ask my family because I knew that some of them would look at me like I was crazy. But for the ones who are a little bit more progressive, they were open to it and so willing, but they just were not qualified. So it was a 50-50.
All right. So when you get this news that your daughter needs this transplant, you're getting mixed reviews about it from your family.
Mm-hmm.
What what how's your daughter handling this? And not only in regards to her need the transplant, but what are her what are her thoughts about this issue? Because obviously we know yours. You're very strong for
Right.
it. How's she been handling the situation?
I love your question. That is very important to ask because it's her body, it's her life. She is walking through the struggle. I may feel the angst and anxiety and the anger, or maybe even the eagerness to save or help her in any way possible. But this is her journey, and I have to tell you, she's extremely graceful about it, extremely inquisitive, and she has had mixed emotions, quite candidly. She was first diagnosed with it at the age of 13 in November of 2014. Yes, and she was in shock. But even in the hospital, she was in the hospital for a total of 24 days. I stayed by her side all throughout that time. Uh, Her goal was to A, not panic, B, ask as many questions as possible. The medical team was quite amused by how much she absorbed in such a short time. And B, we are we're filled with faith. We are God-fearing people, and faith got us through this. And I will even tell you honestly, a sense of humor. And I will tell you what I told her. Now that we know this news, we are all here for you. But number one thing, let's educate ourselves so that we know that we're making the right choices every step of the way. It's not just my duty; it's your duty as well. And she took it in. She's had some withdrawals with it. She tried to be strong for so long. There were times she just needed to step back as a little girl. She really is just a little girl, and just say, I need a break. I need to just be myself, and I need to just think about what I'm going through right now. And I gave her that. And I told her she had every right to feel that way. And to be honest with you, she confessed to me one time that she felt so compelled to feel so strong for us that she never, sometimes she didn't complain too much so that she wouldn't be a burden to us. And that broke my heart because I've always told that she had every right to have moments of weakness or moments of sorrow, and also moments of strength, moments of perseverance, resilience. But she's human and she's a child, and the thought of going through dialysis 3 times a week is devastating. And also, uh, regression from your social surroundings at school. She was always a low key little girl, and she really wasn't the kind to want to go hang out all the time. She was a homebody, really into her academics, but life changed, and she had to figure out how to navigate that change. I'd say assimilating as a patient, a kidney patient, as opposed to just a regular little girl.
Okay. Well, in your, I don't know, best word maybe campaign to of more awareness,
Yes.
have there been specific groups that have been the biggest challenge, or who are giving you the biggest pushback?
I would say it was strong pushback. I would say it was more like, I'll be honest with you. I see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. It's too odd. It's too taboo. Um, it was uncomfortable for some people. It's very uncomfortable to think of someone having surgery, a laparoscopic surgery. Technology has evolved so much that we're talking about someone who is an altruistic donor. First of all, hospitals will not take anyone. They are so stringent and so rigorous about who they select to be an organ donor. It is a rigorous process. They do not want to harm anyone. They do not want to put anyone's life in danger. And there's a code of ethics. Even as parents or anyone who's posting, promoting, or raising awareness, there is this responsibility for us as people promoting this to really, really, really enforce health and wellness for anyone who would want to forge ahead and be a living donor. That is the utmost of important, because saving one's life should not mean harming another. That is something I want to reiterate and make very, very clear. I think that was the pushback. If you really want to know, I think people felt, again, the audacity of anyone to ask for someone to be a living donor and put their lives in jeopardy for someone else. That was the translation, but that is not the fact. There is a difference. When we are misinformed, we also assume and accuse. And that was the issue for me. But I do understand because I have to also incorporate empathy for what they do not understand and are not aware of. And I don't get upset. I actually use that challenge and turn it around into a form of communication to raise awareness and to speak the truth about what this whole process is about because too many lives are dying. The wait list is too long. My daughter was told that she was on the wait list last year, and that wait list is still going on. And if I had not done the search to get a living donor, which is still pending, I don't think I'd have the candidates I have now. And of course, what we do is we say, at any time, if you choose not to be a living donor while you are being tested, it is your right, and we honor and respect it.
Okay. Well, I just want to say hello to everyone who stepped into the room. I know I Can Do Dave is here. I know Stan Bush is here. Thank you for stopping by. If anyone has any questions on this subject or any discussion pieces, there are discussion pieces. The seats are open. Also, Fabi Macy Mora. I wanted to make sure I got that right because it is a very, I guess, not debated topic. And here comes Ahmed Hazel. Ahmed, come on in. No problem. Let's see if Ahmed will join the conversation.
Hello.
Hey, Ahmed, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Chantal?
How are you?
Excellent. Honor and respect, Dr. Vibe.
Right back at you, brother.
So,
what are your comments?
So, I have. All right. So, I have to admit that I'm one of the people that feel as though I've always been squeamish about being an organ donor. And specifically too, my 19-year-old son was in the hospital, had some damage to his heart. And they basically at the time was like, well, you guys aren't, of the status of somebody that should be getting a heart donation. So pretty much that's it. He just has to go. So, he passed when he was 19, but that was pretty much their attitude.
Wow. Wow. My condolences, man.
So thank you.
My condolences as well.
Wow.
So that was really difficult. In addition to that, I know, Chantal, you said that emergency medicine and emergency staff the two are separate as it relates to somebody being injured. But one thing that I can say is that I was a firefighter for 7 years, and I know that at some point the emergency staff, the emergency medical professionals in the field, they will make a pass off to the emergency staff in the hospital. And then when they make that pass off, those emergency technicians in the hospital, they then do know who's a donor, correct?
That is correct, because they need to get fresh organs because there is a time frame where it's no longer considered a viable organ to donate. That is correct. But it cannot be given without consent. That is 100% illegal.
Yeah. So what would you say to me? One other comment is I went to high school with two young ladies, and they were the best of friends in high school. And one young lady developed a kidney issue, and her best friend donated one of her kidneys to her. So they're still good friends today. She was a living donor to her and saved her life. What would you say to somebody like myself that is squeamish about being a donor?
Okay. Ahmed, is that the correct way of saying your name? Ahmad or Ahmed?
Yes, Ahmed.
Okay. Ahmed, I would say to you that what we've discovered, because we've gone through at least 10 prospective living donors for my daughter, if it doesn't feel right, the doctors and even the psych team would say don't do it, because it has to feel right. This is surgery, even though it's laparoscopic surgery and it's much less invasive as it used to be. The thought of taking time out from work and doing that for someone who is either a loved one or maybe a random stranger you feel the need to be kind towards, if you are not mentally prepared, I always recommend, and I've trained for this, you should not do it, because the mental impact that this has upon you if you were not prepared is too much. It has to be something that's well thought out, something that's discussed with maybe the recipient, and if you want to keep separate, discuss with other living donors, which I actually recommended to my prospective living donors. I recommended that they speak to people who've gone through it and share their fears, their anxieties, their concerns. And then I removed myself because I wanted an unbiased opinion for those people so that I would not interfere in any way, shape, or form. I wanted the process to be pure, honest, and just without any coercion on our part. And that's what everyone should do. Any other way, it's unethical. It has to be ethical. It has to be considerate. It has to be mindful. And you really have to be there for both sides. You can't just come to someone with that ask. Like the Kidney Foundation, National Kidney Foundation says it's the big ask. And you really have to be tactful about how you do it. And you really have to know where the person's head is. Because I'll be honest with you, we had living donors who came across as a little bit, I'll be honest, a little bit off. And it almost seemed like maybe they were trying to get accolades for it. And then they were complete strangers. So we really had to filter to make sure that they were doing it for all the right reasons. And again, the psych team and the medical team will definitely investigate to make sure that your intentions are in the best interest of yourself and the recipient. And they do give you time to really digest your proposal and the action so that you are not doing this with a sense of conflict. If there's any reasonable doubt or conflict, they really recommend that you renege and pull away. They are very serious about that because they don't want anyone to feel resentment, heartache, frustration, regret. That's a lot. That's a lot. And those emotions are real. We have to recognize that.
What if hypothetically, what if I was to donate, like, let's say my kidney to your daughter, and then a year or two from now, one of my children needed a kidney?
What they usually do is they make sure that either someone, my personal opinion, I would reach out to everyone in my family the same way I did for my child to say, this living donor was there for us and we need to campaign just as hard for this person now that he and his child need a kidney. And if the rule of the hospital is if a living donor decides to donate his kidney to someone, if for some reason throughout life something happens to his kidney, you are automatically put on the priority list because the goal is to make sure you have a long-standing life with health and to take care of you as soon as possible. I'm glad you asked that because two of my friends asked that, and I thought it was a fair question. They said that the apprehension is, if I give you mine, I will not have one for my child if they need one. And I'm really appreciative that you asked that because it's a fair question. I would ask myself that had I not been in the position I was in. And it's only fair that you ask that. And it's a popular question, quite honestly. And then the motherly side of me would hope that you would never be put in that position. But I think that once a living donor decides to donate his or her organ to a family, think you should adopt them as your own family now, unless they choose otherwise, and look out for them. It's the righteous thing to do. Is everybody that way? No, they are not. Am I that way? Yes, I am.
Because I'm like, I will be coming over for dinner.
And we'll say we'll have the food ready, and the plate and the chair. Okay. Your name will be stamped on it.
We've got a question here from MC Phillips. Chantal, we have a question here from MC Phillips. Who polices the organ donation community? Actually, Ahmed, you didn't have to step out, but no problem if you want to come back in. But who polices the organ donation community?
The state does. The city does. There's the organ donation. It's totally policed separately from the hospital, and they police how it's given to the living donors and so forth. But the hospital, if someone is a living donor, the hospital takes care of that, and there is a strict law not to influence the recipient with the living donor. Your information is kept 100% private. We are not privy to how many people are getting tested. We are not privy to any of your medical information. We are not privy to anything because you have a right to your privacy. And if you choose to renege, the hospital also can just say, this person was not qualified, and that's it. None of your information is disclosed to the recipient in any shape or form.
So this leads me to another question then.
Yes.
Are the governing laws and practices universal in each state, or do they differ in each state?
That's a good question. I would not want to overstep my boundaries and say it's the same in each state. I'll tell you what's different. New York State has a tremendous waiting list, and people like Steve Jobs. I believe he went to Tennessee to get an organ because when he was ill, he couldn't get it where he was at because there are certain states that the list is so long. It's astounding. And just like New York City, we are overly populated and we do not have enough people donating organs. So we as New Yorkers wait a very long time. If you're an adult, you can wait approximately 3 to 8 years, sometimes 10, for a kidney donation. If you're the wait list, just want to clarify, if you are on the waiting list, this means you are waiting for a cadaver kidney from a deceased person. If you are, that's the only wait list that exists. If you are looking for a living donor, that's totally different. But if you are on a wait list per state, and you are allowed to be listed in different states, and it's different because certain states move faster than others. And there's a whole chart about that. I could tweet that once the interview is over. But per state, the wait list varies. That much I know.
Okay. I just want to catch up on some of the conversation pieces here. Let's see. M. Dixon 2009 says, I've been an organ donor since I went into the Army. Thank you for your stance on organ donors for people of color. Also, we have MC Phillips says, I was told never be an organ donor based on a horrible experience the person had. I won't repeat the problems here. He also says David Crosby and Larry Hagman got liver donations after killing theirs with alcohol. There's something wrong with that.
There is something wrong with that. I'm not aware of that whole story or the process, but there is something wrong with that. And I did some investigating. There are some kidneys referred to as high-risk kidneys. That is, if a deceased person receives some serious trauma and they use that kidney to donate to someone else, it's not considered the best quality kidney, and they're referred to as high-risk kidneys. And if most doctors would really want to refrain, unless it's a do-or-die emergency where the person's about to die, if they don't get it right away, they may consider it. But again, I am not a medical practitioner in any way, shape, or form. I do not want to be misquoted, but I'm just referring to the knowledge that I've retained thus far as a parent with a child suffering from kidney disease.
With the knowledge that you've acquired about this issue, how much of a factor and I guess the question is obviously answered, but I want to make sure I get it from you.
Sure.
Does one's wealth have, like MC Phillips brought David Crosby, Larry Hagman, the more financial wealth you have, is it more likely you'll get a donation? Is it based on class?
I'm glad you asked that too. It is stated, documented, it is not based on class or affluential people or influential people. But I will tell you this, if you have the means to travel, to go to a different country, state, or wherever to get yourself a living donor or a kidney transplant at an early date by going to a different state, obviously that's influential. But to be jumped up from the list, that's actually, there's a legal rule about that. There's an act. I will get information for you on that, but it's totally non-acceptable. They actually state in DonateLife.com, they say celebrities do not get privilege or extra special treatment on any waiting list because they're a celebrity. And so they state that affluential people, influential people do not get high rankings or are not bumped up on the list, they say. What I would say
Okay.
I will say this, as I said about Steve Jobs, he was financially equipped to go to Tennessee. He had the means. He could travel wherever he wanted to get that done and go to a place where the wait list wasn't long enough. Now, Steve Jobs was influential enough. If it was influential and affluential picking, he wouldn't have to fly anywhere. He could say, I'm Steve Jobs, hook me up.
Yeah. Now, some comments here. MC Phillips feels that, status does come into play in this with this subject. And then also there's a question here, a streaming voice, and you may or may not know this. Have they made any progress with growing kidneys in animals?
That I know they are experimenting even with 3D shaped kidneys and so forth, but I've done some research. I am not aware of anybody trying that yet. Experiments are happening daily to the point, as I stated, where technology is experimenting with 3D printing of livers and so forth. And as I say, it's in its embryonic stage. It's really preliminary, so it's not confirmed yet. And with experiments, it takes time, it takes years, and then it has to be approved. So we're a long ways away from that. So we'll see what happens. But right now, if that were the case, then the wait list wouldn't be so devastating long. It's just too long.
MC Phillips is on a roll tonight with asking questions, so I'm glad that he's here. He's asked, what is the color issue with regard to organ donation? Mike, don't worry. Keep on going. This is good stuff. That's what she wants. You want to go.
These are
so what is the color issue? Go ahead.
What's his name again?
MC Phillips.
MC Phillips. There is no color issue. You do not have to be. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Anyone, whatever your nationality, culture, race, or creed, anyone can donate to you. The issue is blood type and tissue type. Now, the fact of the matter is, scientifically, if you're closer to the genetic makings of that person, you might be a stronger, viable candidate. But from the National Kidney Foundation, anyone of color, race, or creed can donate to another person. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about your kidney functioning to the best of its ability. It's about the tissue type, the antigen, the blood type. That is the most important key factor. And even age, you have to be between the age of 18 and 60. They have done surgery with people who are older, but the ideal age range is 18 to 60. And it's not a race thing. It's a color. It's not a color thing. It's a kidney thing. It's a liver thing. It's a heart thing. Because when people harvest kidneys to donate to other people, there are times where they don't even know what the person's race was unless they inquired. That I'm referring to deceased donors.
Right. I see here, and it was the reason why MC Phillips is asking about the color issue, because M. Dixon said, quote, "Thank you for your stance on organ donors for people of color."
Oh, well, that
So
I
I
can
think
reiterate on that. I could, mind Dr. Vibe, if I go on that. That is because
absolutely.
as an African American woman, well, I'm Caribbean American, but nonetheless, as a Black woman, how about I say that? I did some research about people who were suffering the most with the wait list for kidney donation, and African Americans were on the top of the list. African Americans were on the top of the list due to kidney diseases, and some of them were linked to hypertension, some of them were linked to diabetes, and we are well aware that African Americans do suffer from all of the above meaning hypertension and diabetes. So because of that, if they're not well taken care of, or if they notice this disease late in life, sometimes it affects the kidneys. And if the kidney is so deeply affected that they are on dialysis, they later on also need a kidney transplant, which is a higher number of people who are suffering from that. In addition to that, the people who donate the least, this is fact-based, happen to be African American due to all the myths that have been spewed throughout the years. So a total of 18 people die per day waiting for an organ. That should not be. That should not be the case. And I need to clarify that there are just too many myths about organ donation, which is why there's apprehension. And as Ahmed said, people are squeamish about it. And I understand. One moment of discussing this won't change people's mind, but if it spews or if that mustard seed is implanted where we start to even just think about it, the job is done.
What, for the people that you've encountered on the medical end of this, what are they telling you? People in the medical industry, the doctor side, physician side, what are they saying about this issue to you?
Oh my goodness. As you could probably imagine, I am very inquisitive and I want them to be thorough. I always say to them, please do not sugarcoat it for me. I can handle it. I want the truth and nothing but the truth. And there's a certain protocol in the medical field not to disclose too much to scare the parents, not to disclose too much to scare anyone off. So it takes time for you to get, everything you want out of them, so to speak. But I have to be honest with you and say to you, we have been very lucky. Our team has been very transparent. And we have a transplantation team and then a nephrology team meaning the kidney medical team. And they say that you're going to get some pushback. They warned me. They said you will get some pushback because some people are not very open to that. And then they also said that you will find some amazing altruistic donors who really just want to give back because of past experiences from a loved one in their life who was saved, and they want to reciprocate. And actually, they were actually right about both. They were very correct about both. I'll be honest with you again, they wanted me to push for social media from day one. I was the one who chose not to in the beginning because I wanted to maintain my daughter's privacy and our family's privacy regarding it. I was sure that we would find someone within our family circle, so I felt there was no need to go into social media until I discovered that that was not the case due to health circumstances and other apprehension. So what we decided to do was to go public, and that's when I discovered how much we really need to share regarding this process.
MC Phillips is on fire tonight. He's put from the article 38% of African Americans stated they would not donate organs compared to 10% of whites. When asked why not, African Americans stated personal reasons, followed by, if I'm an organ donor, I won't get the necessary medical attention as their top choices.
Thank you so very much for posting that. That is actually one of the pushbacks. It's a farce. It's a myth. And what we're doing is we're not helping our own. when we choose not to donate our organs when we die, first of all, those organs deteriorate. They decompose. You can't take it with you. When you die, your spirit, your soul moves on. I know different religions believe in reincarnation and so forth, and we still honor that. But the organs, they decompose. And again, a doctor cannot choose not to save a person's life because they're an organ donor. That doesn't happen right away, because as soon as you go into the emergency room, the goal is to save your life. The goal is not to let you die because they want your organs. That is not how it works. There really isn't. That's not why people go to medical school, to become doctors. I'm not saying that people aren't unethical in any field or practice, but trust me when I say this, and I've had some emergencies with family members. I come from a very big family, and we've had some touch and goes, and none of them have ever stated that people were hounding them to take their organs. We know this for a fact. We have a big family that's gone through some serious crises, and they're not vampires trying to harvest people's organs as soon as they are in the emergency room. I've had a lot of emergency situations with families, so I know what I'm talking about here.
Very good stuff. Good conversation going on again. Good. Tony is going to come in. Tony's a good person to have joining a conversation.
Okay.
Hey, Tony, you need some light on you. You're sort of dark, but we can
Let me.
we see.
Hi,
I'll go
Tony.
out. Hello.
No.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. But, yeah, some very good conversation here, and I thank the audience. Yeah, I thank the audience who was in here tonight, doing a great job in regards to giving some good thoughts, good content, good questions, and this is what Chantal, and it was interesting, just a sidebar story. Initially, Chantal did not want to do a blab. She wanted to do it via phone, but I think she's happy she's done the blab.
You're right. I am a woman of conviction, and I am fierce with a lot of things, but on camera, I have so much apprehension when it comes to camera time, and so you're helping me get out of my shell, Dr. Vibe. Break out of my shell.
Well, we set you up for success. We're here to help. Hey, Tony, that's much better. Come on and join in the conversation, Chantal. This is one of my valued. In fact, this is I valued online brothers, fathers,
Tony.
mentor.
Oh, wonderful.
Tony, Tony, and has had a phenomenal story in regards to losing weight over the last number of days.
Bravo.
And I know he'll have something valuable to add to this conversation. So, Tony, always welcome. Please share.
Well, I thank you, Dr. Vaz, so much, and Chantal, thank you so much for having the courage to do this, and because I know it wasn't easy. I just wanted to speak for just a couple of minutes about the hesitancy in the African American community, and I think that there's a precedence for concern that does reinforce the stereotypes. And what I mean by that is if you think about situations like the Tuskegee experiment and other examples of African Americans being mistreated when it comes to the medical field, that when you hear those kind of things and those things being passed down, it's kind of understandable that there is some hesitancy for African Americans to donate. Now, do I think that is right? No, but I understand why there has been hesitancy. I think that in order to change that, you have to do the kinds of things that you're doing, where information is being shared. Part of it is that what has been shared primarily has been the myths and those things that are negative. And so consequently, it's no accident that we have a higher incidence of issues with our organs, because we are the bigger abusers of things that cause those organs to fail. And I can speak to it quite frankly because I've had issues with my kidneys. My kidneys actually shut down in 2011 and had to be hospitalized because of that. And prayerfully, things have changed and they've improved. And so far they are functioning in the normal range. And so I'm thankful for that. But, the incidence, it just sort of goes back to there are times when there's nothing that you can do and things happen, like kidney failure or heart disease or liver damage. And but then there are times when we are contributors to those things failing. And we have to begin to talk about organ donation, and we also need to talk about making changes into the way we eat. Because as a diabetic for over 17 years, I understand very clearly that I needed to make changes years ago, but I didn't really understand or really didn't know how to make the change. And, there was information that was given to me that actually wasn't good, and it came from medical professionals. And so,
wow.
And so, again, that kind of reinforces some of the negative hangups that we have, that African Americans do have. And so, I said all that to say that I think the most important thing is that you do what you're doing, that you can continue to share, what you're dealing with and how this needs to turn around. Because with 80 million Americans with diabetes that haven't been diagnosed,
Wow.
there's going to be more people that are going to have kidney issues, as well as all of the other things that you mentioned earlier, the hypertension, the heart disease. All of those things are going to be factors. And so education is the key, and that's been shared. And I just want to emphasize that, the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the oil. And so, you sharing positive information about the importance and the urgency of people being donators will, sort of turn this thing around.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for sharing that. And can you tell me if you're feeling better? I mean, health-wise, how's your kidney? Because when you told me that and your health, I heard that you are doing, I just want to make sure that everything is going well for you now, because back in 2012, it sounded like it was scary. You did say things are better, but are you 100%, would you say?
Well, I may not be 100%, but I'm probably between 80 and 90. And the reason I say that, and I say it with a smile, because I'm now 110 days without my 3 different diabetic medications that I was taking. I've lost. Thank you so much. I lost over 60 plus pounds, and I'm making changes. And I have really adopted the mantra that food is my medicine and medicine is my food. And
I love it.
I'm just in a good place right now. And so what I do is every chance I get to get on any streaming platform, I talk about the importance of diabetes awareness, and that how important it is for us to make the changes. You don't have to be a diabetic to make changes. You don't have to be a diabetic to stop drinking so many sodas. You don't have to be a diabetic to stop putting so much sugar in your coffee. And I'm in the South, and we drink sugar with a little bit of sweet tea added. I mean, with tea added to it. And well, I'm just telling you the truth. It's not. I grew up in New Jersey, so I know about the difference between the way tea is fixed in New York area as opposed to how it's fixed here, and there's a dramatic difference.
Right.
So
there is a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
Tony, we need to go on the road together.
You hear that, Tony?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
Chantal said you two need to go on the road together. Chantal, join the line.
I know.
Join the line.
I know.
Tony, quick question for you that MC Phillips has said. When you were going through that trying time with your liver, he's asking, did you think you were going to recover, or did you think it was over?
I tell you, things for me at that time were real high. I had just gotten a promotion. And I kind of felt like I was on the top of the world, although, I was already a diabetic, and I just kind of felt like I had everything under control. And so it was kind of, as I think about it, it was after I was hospitalized that everything actually changed for me. I got over the kidney issue, and then other things started happening. And it actually my health got so bad that I actually ended up retiring early in 2013. And as late as June of 2014, my diabetes was out of control. And so my doctor was actually telling me at that time that he was considering discharging me as his patient, and that I would have to find another doctor because I wasn't doing what he thought I should have been doing. And so, and I was doing all the wrong things. I call myself not eating, which is an extremely bad move particularly when you're already overweight and you're already a diabetic. I wouldn't eat breakfast, and that's a big no-no. Breakfast is actually supposed to be your first meal, your best meal of the day, because your body needs to get its kickstart for fasting overnight. And so I was doing all kinds of things that was contrary to what I should have been doing, because I was trying to do what I thought would help me, and it was actually hurting me. And so to answer your question, in 2011, when that happened, when I was hospitalized, I was kind of on a high note. And it was after that things kind of went downhill.
Okay. Stuff. Chantal.
Yeah.
You still with us? Okay, good.
I am.
Your internet signal is not. Okay, good stuff. When it comes to this, I think we're going to start winding it down here, but when it comes to this subject and area, what are you hoping, what needs to be done by the average everyday person? What needs to be done by the medical community?
The medical community, I believe, is doing the best that they can. I have to tell you, the trust comes from an everyday person like myself, like you, like Tony, talking about it. The medical team has done due diligence with providing the proper information. The trust has to come from everyday people who have experienced it, have lived it, because you and I all know that a medical practitioner's perspective is far different than just a regular person living day-to-day life. And that is the person that's relatable. A doctor will give you medical information, and maybe they may provide it in layman's terms, but that everyday person has that one experience that is devastating or inspirational or a combination of both, and that's what hits you to the core. You and I both know that anything that has to do with a medical issue, when an individual talks about it, there's something that hits you, especially if the person is relatable, versus a medical practitioner saying it. Yes, they know it, they are skilled with the topic they're referring to, but we want to hear it from someone who lives next door, a family member, a friend, a coworker, a colleague, someone who touches your heart. That's why I chose to, as a mother, as a parent, as a working mom, as a single mom, as a mom who thought her 13-year-old was fine, just a little sick, all of a sudden being told this, that both her kidneys have shut down, and it's not due to malnutrition or poor eating, it's due to something totally foreign, which is supposed to be reversible, but that we were the 1% that did not have her kidney reversed. You have to share your story so that it can help someone else maybe grapple how to handle this, and then how to do due diligence and to make sure you have the armor to come back at the situation triumphantly, victoriously, and then pay it forward the next time to somebody else. We each have a responsibility to share our story so that we can save a life, not one, not two, but so many lives by sharing our story. And that's what we should do. That's
That
my
is
mantra.
powerful. That's powerful. Let me ask, what is the next step in the process for your daughter?
The next step right now, I'll tell you what she's going through. She goes to dialysis 3 times a week. And right now we are reaching out to people who are still interested in becoming living donors. I've posted her Facebook page, which just launched. It's called Kidney for Thalia. And once in a blue moon, I post something about something inspirational or something about her journey. And you can find me at Chantal Cause in Twitter. It's at Chantal's Cause, Chantals, Cause, Cause. And I'll start tweeting about her again. And you kind of have to sit tight and wait for prospective donors to get tested and to see if they are going all the way through with the process. And again, I'm grateful for every single person that chose to get tested. Whether they go through the whole process or not, it is a courageous, courageous move, and they should all be commended for even trying to even take step one, because that person chose to do it for all the right reasons, and I'm so grateful for them. Tony, you had a question.
I know that you had something you wanted to say.
I do have a question. My first question is it possible for you to put that information you just shared in the chat?
Yeah, in the chat. I think that'd be very valuable.
And then my
Absolutely.
second question
Absolutely.
is, are you streaming on Blab?
I am not streaming on Blab. As I told Dr. Vibe, I wanted to focus on the conversation, and then I could tweet all the other information thereafter.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Tony?
Don't worry, Tony. Don't worry, Tony. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her to other platforms.
Yes,
You know I'm gonna make that happen.
I'm hooked.
Well,
I'm hooked.
but
this is the reason why I think that this is a good platform for you. It's because what Dr. Vibe does is he has engaging conversations. And one of the benefits of using Blab, you can ask questions and you can come on camera and ask a question and get an answer, as opposed to some of the other platforms that are very popular. You're talking to people, and one in particular that shall not be mentioned. You put in a comment and it's gone. It disappears. And
Yes,
so
yes,
it's just so,
with
I
that
think,
one.
important because of the subject matter that you're talking about, that
Yes.
if
Yeah, it's
you can
very true.
have a conversation with someone, it will make a tremendous amount of difference.
Are you and Dr.
Well, what I'm going to put
Are
out
you and Dr. Vibe twins? Because
there
that's
to show.
exactly what he told me. He told me
Well,
the
you know
same.
what, Chantal, I'm going to throw it out there.
That's just
I think that
confirmation.
in next
Okay,
month, there you go.
I got it.
No,
You see,
I if Chantel, if you want, I will make myself available if you want to have like a monthly conversation on this subject, to the point where I would like to see you then start hosting it on your own when you're comfortable.
yes,
But certainly, if you want to start like a monthly conversation about this subject, because Tony and I and other people here are on Blab enough. This conversation has never happened on Blab.
wow,
This
wow.
specifically this subject. That's why I wanted to have you on Blab,
Thank you.
because
Oh, thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Tony's on a lot, I'm on a lot. I don't see if it's happened once, maybe once or twice, but I believe that you could position yourself as being an authority on this and get a lot of traction. But that's another conversation.
Absolutely,
We will have that. We'll have that after the recording stops. But before it stops, please type your contact information that you shared with us, as Tony said, so when people watch the replay of this, they can refer to how to contact you.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
As Chantal is doing that, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who came in on the conversation tonight. We did start a little bit late, but there were some challenges with Blab. But thanks for those who stuck it out. A huge thanks to Ahmed. I mean,
Thank you,
wow.
everyone.
I really, I'm very blessed. As I say, I'm blessed and highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. And I didn't know about what Ahmed had shared with us, but to be able to provide a platform where someone is comfortable in sharing that, I don't take that lightly. That's why I do what I do, where people can find a space to share their victories, but also their challenges and how they've overcome them.
Amen.
So
please invite him over again. Yeah, that was definitely heartfelt. One parent to another. That was definitely heartfelt.
You know, that's why one of the reasons I do what I do, so people can share their story, so it can be an encouragement, an enlightenment, education, entertainment, empowerment for others. So, Ahmed, I'm not going to forget that moment. I put that in the chat room, and that keeps me going. And I got your back. Thank you. Well, that's what I do. You know, I provide, because we need to share, because we learn from each other. And when we think we have it hard, there's an Ahmed that's gone through what he's gone through.
Absolutely.
There's a Tony that, when I first spoke with Tony, he was a one person. And then there was a conversation we had one night, him and Glenn Barker had a conversation from my manhood show that just internally brought me to tears. Wow. To just see how Tony just was so transparent. And I think that was a turning point for Tony, I think. Quote me, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony.
Definitely was.
So to be blessed to have people to come and share and care about each other on this platform, that's what it's all about. So we're going to turn off the recording now. You always like to say, I'm Dr. Vibe, host and producer. Hey, Strategic Jad on Periscope. I'm just turning off right now. But I'm blessed and highly favored, magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. All of you are.
Thank you so much. And
please remember that.
I will be tweeting at Chantal all of the necessary information, the links to all the websites and so forth about kidney donation, organ awareness, and everything else that you've inquired about. I will just keep looking at my Twitter feed at Chantal Cause, and Facebook at Kidney for Dahlia, and I'll provide as much information as possible. I'll tag Dr. Vibe's hashtag on it so that you can all follow as well. Is that okay, Dr. Vibe?
More than fair. One final thing, or two final things. Chantal, I'll be bothering you in the next few days to see when you can come on next month.
Are you kidding me? It's already a done deal.
Okay, so this is good.
Yes.
That's what I like to do, is have people come on with me, and then one day I say, okay, it's time to get out of the nest and start doing it on your own, because that's what we like to do, is perform that. The last thing I'd like to do is a short little promo. Saturday night, this Saturday on Blab, from 6 p.m. Eastern time to 12 midnight Eastern time, at the link I'm typing right here, myself, Glenn Barker, for part of it, Glenn Barker, and also Dr. Marvin Thompson, we're going to be doing a 6-hour. I'm going to be doing a 6-hour Blab. I'll be there for most of it. They'll be there for. I'll be there for all of it. They'll be there for most of it. 6-hour Blab on manhood, and each hour we're going to be discussing a different manhood subject. So I know I don't expect people to jump in for all 6 hours, but if you can jump in for a few minutes, it'd be appreciated. We met today over the phone, and we've got our topics down for each hour. And for those who are watching this either live or the repeat before it comes on, I'll give away one of our discussion topics. Let me just make sure I've got it here. Oh, we're going to be talking about, okay, I'll give it away. The first topic we're going to talk about is the 4 powers that every man has. The warrior, the magician, the lover, and the king. That's the first topic coming out of the gate. And Tony has been to a number of our conversations, so you know it's going to be good stuff. So on that point, I'd like to say you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles, and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith, and chat with you soon. See you Saturday.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.